Hello everybody. Today our topic is a very interesting module and one of my personal favorite. It is called as time management. Well, if you want to be a world-class leader, have good work-life balance and generally want to be successful in your career and in your life, this is a module that you need to pay a lot of attention on. Well, the agenda today is what we are going to be covering in this module of time management. Some of the subtopics are effective time management, learning how to plan and prioritize your day properly, importance of time logs and to-do list and how they help you manage your time better, identifying our time wasters and time robbers. Well, it's important to know where exactly we are wasting our time, because unless we don't know that, we are not going to be able to manage our time properly. So we will understand that. Understanding the Pareto principle of 80 by 20. This is a very important concept which was coined by Mr. Eisenhower, and he has explained to us how this Pareto principle of 80 by 20 works. Well, we are also going to talk about the urgent and important matrix. This interesting concept was coined by Mr. Stephen Covey, and he has made us understand the importance between urgent and important tasks. Being busy versus being productive. So these are what we are going to cover today in our module. Let's get started. Well, everyone gets 24 hours in a day. Nobody gets more and nobody gets less. So why is it that some people are always struggling to manage their time, are always running pillar to post and always trying to squeeze in so much in their 24 hours, still having no time for themselves? At the end of the day, these people complain, I don't have time. On the other set, we have another group of people who are able to manage all their time very properly. They are able to prioritize, they are able to plan, and they are able to accomplish everything in a day's time. At the end of the day, they have a lot of time for themselves and are always productive. The difference between these two set of people is the latter set of people are always kind of people who have learnt the technique of time management. And that is the reason why we are having this module on time management, to help us become productive and be good at our work. Why do we need time management? Well, there are a lot of benefits associated with being able to manage your time properly. And once we know what these benefits are, we are definitely going to strive to be better with our time management. So let's understand what these benefits of time management are. The most important benefit is time management helps you to save time. Well, time is money in today's date. Time lost will never come back again, will it? So, time saved is equal to money earned. Time management helps you to reduce stress. We are so stressed out in today's life. Why? Because we squeeze in too much into our day without realizing whether we are able to manage our time to all these different tasks that we have squeezed in. So, it helps you to stress-free yourself. Time management helps us to function effectively, be a constructive and a productive worker at our workplace. It helps to increase our work output. It helps us have more control over our job responsibility. So, we are actually able to really function well, be a productive team member with our employees. It helps you to prioritize. It helps us to plan our task better, know what to do first and know what to do last. So scheduling our priorities is something that will be a great benefit of time management. It helps us to get more done in less time, and isn't that what we all strive for? We all have so much to do and so little time. It helps you to do less in amount of time. It helps us to give good quality of work, and we all should strive for quality work rather than just finishing off our task and doing more multiple tasks. Quantity is not so good, but quality is always better. Helps us to discipline ourselves, and last not the least, it helps you to make sure that you deliver what is promised. These are some of the benefits of time management, and I'm sure listening to all this, you would definitely want to learn how to save time, how to manage your time. Now, there is a very interesting concept. A lot of people feel that they are busy and they are also productive. Well, busy does not mean being productive. Busy and productive are two different things. You might say, I'm very busy doing something, But when someone asks you, what are you busy doing? There is a question mark on your face and you are really not sure what are you busy doing, but you tend to want to be busy. So what is the difference between being busy and being productive? Let's understand that a little in detail. Being busy, they are people who have multiple priorities. They will have numerous priorities for themselves. Whereas productive people, on the other hand, they only focus on few priorities. They would rather focus on lesser number of things rather than filling their days with too many things. Busy people always respond with a yes. They will never say no for a task or an activity. Whereas productive people, on the other hand, always think twice before they say a yes to somebody. Busy people, when they are working, they will keep all the doors opened. So anybody can disturb them, interrupt them, which is not a good thing. On the other hand, productive people, when they are at work, they will close all the doors. They will never let you interrupt them or make them, understand what that is. Keeping talk about how busy they are. Busy people always keep on harping, I'm very busy doing this and that. Well, on the other hand, productive people, they don't go on harping about how busy they are. They let the results speak for themselves, and isn't that always a better option? Busy people are multitaskers. They will do numerous amount of things or a lot of things at one point of time. They will multitask. Whereas productive people, they will only concentrate on one important task or one important goal. Now let's understand, according to research, our mind, if it is focused on too many things at the same time, you will not deliver quality work in any of those tasks because your mind is in different tasks. However, if you focus on one particular task or goal and able to finish that, that's always a much better option. So we should always strive to do this rather than this. Well, busy people, they always ask for advice. On the other hand, productive people, they take real actions and they get the job done rather than only asking people for advice. They do that, but at the same time, they do the work. They work on their actions rather than only talking to people about advices and suggestions. So what we are trying to say in this particular slide is always strive to be productive rather than only being busy. Now, one of the very important way of managing our time is being able to create something which is known as a productivity journal. Now, productive journal is nothing but a time log of your day-to-day activities, what you do in your entire day's time, right from the time you get up to the time you retire to bed at night. So let's understand the productive journal. We should have two journals, one for personal and one for professional. It's important to bifurcate these two journals. Always label it with the time of the day, the date and your name on the journal. Prioritize your first 3 tasks. It's very important to jot down or to write down what you want to accomplish, your first 3 priorities of your day. It's important to use your productive journal every day. Don't just use it once and then let go of it for the next 15 days and then open your journal again. It's something that I would want you to work on every single day of your life, and that's the crux of managing your time properly. Well, how do you maximize using your productivity journal? It's important to plan the night before. Now, the reason why I say plan the night before is because when you sleep at night, your subconscious mind is the most alert at that point of time. And whatever you feed into the mind at that time stays with you till the morning hours. Hence, it's very important, plan your task the night before rather than doing it after getting up in the morning. Prioritize your task. When we talk about prioritizing, what I'm really trying to say is that understand what task needs to be done first and what time needs to be done second, third, and so on and so forth. Prioritizing your task is very important, and we will throw a lot of light on it later on in the module. Cross off completed task. There is nothing more accomplishing or motivating than putting a tick mark in your productive journal saying that you have finished this task. It gives you mental satisfaction. And yes, there is a hormone which gets released whenever you feel motivated and proud, and that's important. Carry over unfinished task. If for some reason you have not been able to complete a particular task in a day, it's okay, it does not matter. You can carry it over the next day. This is again a very important way of managing your time better, having to-do list. Now, to-do list is a concept which most of us really know about, but have we really practiced it is a question I would want you to ask yourself. To-do lists are very important to make sure that all your tasks get captured, completed within a specific point of time in your day. The reason why we say to-do list is important is because you are able to write down everything and know what all other things you need to do in a day. There is a step-by-step approach, and I would really want you to follow this whenever you are making a to-do list. So let's understand what are these 4 steps which will help us make a to-do list. Step 1, capture everything you need to do. However small or big the task is, doesn't matter. You capture everything on a piece of paper, writing down everything that needs to be done. Small or big, doesn't matter. The second step is follow ABC method of priority. Now, when I say follow ABC method, what I'm really trying to say is all those tasks which you feel are most important, just write A in front of them. Which you feel are lesser important, write B in front of them. And whatever you feel is the least important, write C in front of them. This way you have prioritized your task which you have written down for yourself. Step 3 is you need to write down how long does each and every step take. Now, what I would want you to do is try to understand that each task needs some time that you need to give to that particular task. So what is the time you want to give to that? You need to write in front of that. If it's going to take an hour's time, half an hour's time, 2 hours time, you need to write that down. The 4th step is, as I mentioned earlier, tick when the task is done. It is very motivating to know that you have accomplished so much in a day. It's motivating, isn't it? This is again a very important way of managing your time. Chunk, block and tackle. Now, when we are faced with a very huge project that we need to do, it is very overwhelming for us. It is something that we get scared of or have afraid of, fear and apprehensions. Such a big task, how am I going to do it? Well, you have something which is known as chunk, block and tackle. This will help you manage your overwhelming task and get it done. How do we need to do? We need to break down the project. If it's a big project, break it down into smaller manageable tasks. That will help you get started. Second, set time for a specific task. Those small tasks that you have, kind of motivated down for yourself, try to have a set amount of time that you will take to complete each task. Avoid interruptions. When you have blocked or rather chunked off small pieces of task, always have a small set of time that you will assign to each task, and also try not to get interrupted during that. When you are focused on something, please give your 100% to it. Avoid phone calls, avoid emails, avoid technology. Try to just be focused on that one task and tackle one task at a time. As I mentioned before, don't multitask. If you are focused on one task, it gets completed much better. Next, we are going to talk about how to prioritize your time. Well, time management is not only about learning how to manage time, it's about learning how to manage yourself in relation to the time. And this particular concept has very beautifully been shared with us by Mr. Eisenhower. Mr. Eisenhower has told us that it is important to understand how to prioritize your time with something which is known as a urgent important matrix. Let's understand what is urgent important matrix. Well, what is urgent and what is important? Is there a difference between these two terms or are they similar? Well, if you don't do the important task, they become urgent, and that's something that we want to avoid. We want to avoid being in an urgent zone. So let's start doing the important tasks before they become urgent. Here we are going to talk about 4 quadrants. Quadrant 1, which is urgent and important. Quadrant 2, which is important but not very urgent. Quadrant 3, which is not even urgent and not important, and quadrant 4, which is urgent but not important. Let's understand a little in detail about what these 4 quadrants are now. The first quadrant, urgent and important, meaning you are always running to manage your pressing problems. It's a crisis situations. You're running for projects, meetings, trying to accomplish everything in a day. And that is when you're in this quadrant, urgent and very important for you. The second quadrant is important but not urgent. Now, what do we mean by important but not urgent? These are certain tasks which you need to make sure you do in time before they become urgent. So, some things like preparation, prevention, value clarification, planning your life, your goals, your vision, relationship building, spending quality time with your family members, going out for vacations, recreations, etc. These are not very important things, but yes, they are important if you give yourself the time to be in this zone. Quadrant 2 is very, very essential and important to be in. Now, quadrant 3 is not important, but it is urgent for some people. While you are at your desk working, you might get some interruptions, some important mails to send, some important phone call which comes in your way. Well, these are things that we want to avoid. Why? Because they are urgent for some other people, but you start wasting your time in this quadrant because you give a lot of attention to these pressing problems, meetings, some or the other report which needs to be sent, etc. So try avoid being in this quadrant. Quadrant number 4 is not even urgent and not even important. One of the most important activity which I would say in today's time is the social media. We are so busy with our WhatsApp, with our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, etc. We spend so much of time in these activities that half of our day is completely filled with these, and then we don't have time for our urgent and important tasks. So, any junk mails, some phone calls, our time wasters and escape activities are really not helping us much to manage our time. When we are in this particular zone, we are only and only wasting our important time of the day by filling it with these activities. Now, out of all these 4 quadrants, if you really want to manage your time well, be in quadrant number 2, which is important but not urgent. Once we start being in quadrant 2, we will learn how to manage our life and our time much better. We are next going to talk about our Pareto's principle, which is the 80/20 rule. Mr. Pareto came up with this particular concept, which is known as Pareto principle, way back in the 1900s. Well, what he's really trying to say is focus on 20% of your actions, which will reap 80% of the results. The Pareto principle says put your efforts where they will make the most difference. Most of us try to accomplish too much in a day. Rather, accomplish the important things in a day which only call for 20% of those activities, which will actually help you to reap a lot of benefit, which is 80%. Well, even if you look back into times back, people who actually own 20% of the land make 80% of the money. So try and understand, focus on only those tasks which are only 20% important, but will actually give you 80% of the result. Benefits of 80/20? Well, it helps you to identify the most important tasks or problems which you need to take care of. Secondly, it helps you to concentrate on your strength. Now, we all know what our strengths and weaknesses are. So, it helps you to concentrate on those activities which you enjoy doing and which you love to do. So, concentrate on your strengths. It helps you in undivided focus. Now, when you know what you have to do, you try to focus your attention, your 100% attention on that activity. And lastly, you use the tools which are most needed. Resources like time, energy, money, everything is needed for this particular 20% of your actions. So, it helps you in that. These are certain benefits of the 80/20 rule. I would really strongly recommend start using the Pareto principle as well as the urgent important matrix if you want to manage your time a little better. Well, what we are going to cover now is one of the most fundamentals of time management, which is learning how to tackle procrastination. Now, procrastination means not wanting to complete a particular task, setting it off for some other time, date, month or year, saying that you want to complete the more pleasurable task rather than the unpleasurable task, wanting to do the less important or urgent things rather than the urgent and important things. So human beings by nature are very lazy and careless, and they don't want to do things at that particular time. how do we tackle procrastination is something which will help you really manage your time and life better. Well, we have certain tips and tricks to share with you which will help you tackle procrastination. There are 9 ways in which you can actually overcome this habit of procrastination, and let's understand what these 9 ways are. The first one is delete it. Well, if you feel a task is just getting carried over again and again, another day, another time, another week, it's better to delete that task because it is not meant to be. You're not meant to do that task, rather better delete it from your list. The second way is delegate. Now, delegation is a very important way of managing your time. Delegate that particular task to somebody who has the time and resource and the intelligence to do that particular task. Delegation works very, very well if you want to be a successful leader. The third way is do it. Just do the task, finish it off, rather than thinking, planning, finish it off and just do it. The next way is follow something which is known as a 15-minute rule. Now, what this means is when you have a task in hand, think it over in your mind. If you are able to complete it within 15 minutes, just complete it that very time. Do not delay it or do not procrastinate it. Just within 15 minutes, finish it off. The next thing is chop it up. Well, as we mentioned before, if there is an overwhelming big project which you need to do and you're really wondering where do I start from, well, chop it up into smaller bits and pieces, and that's where you will be able to manage doing this particular task. Next is asking for advice. A lot of times we procrastinate a particular task or work because we don't have the expert knowledge of how do we go about doing it. So ask for advice. Do a research, ask seniors or ask your leaders who will help you, give you that recommended advice which will help you do that task rather than procrastinate it. The next way of dealing with procrastination is have clear set deadlines. Most of our task gets procrastinated because we have not assigned a clear deadline. So assign a deadline to your task because that will help you overcome this procrastination. The next one is rewarding yourself. Well, nothing is more motivating than rewarding yourself. Give yourself a nice pat on your back saying that, well, you have accomplished this particular thing. It's motivating and it's really good for your self-esteem and self-confidence. So next time you finish off a task, reward yourself. The next way is remove distractions. When you are focusing on a very important and urgent task for yourself, there might be a lot of interruptions, distractions. Please, it's a request, avoid these distractions. Just focus on your work. Well, by following these 9 ways of overcoming procrastination, you are one step closer to managing your time much better. Now, when we talk about time management, there are definitely going to be some barriers, some obstacles which will not let you manage your time well. What are these obstacles and barriers? Let's understand. Not having clear objectives. So unclear objectives really lead to lack or less of time management because you don't know where to get started, you don't know what to do or what not to do. So have clear directions, have clear objectives why you want to do that particular task. The next is being disorganized. Nothing can be more irritating and annoying than being disorganized. Wherever you are, whether at work or at your home, always have your table and your area organized well. If you are organized, you are able to get more done in lesser number of time. Lack of planning. If you do not plan, you will never be able to schedule your task properly. So always have good planning and prioritization. Avoid disruptions and interruptions. That's one of the major ways of effective time management. When you are able to avoid any kind of interruption in your day, focus on your task. That's essential and important. The next part of our module on time management is understanding what are our time wasters. We waste so much time within our 24 hours. You will not believe it, but yes, it is true. We waste 80% of our day on activities which are not really productive and taking us towards where we want to be. Well, this is something which we are going to cover on time management, understanding our time wasters. So avoiding interruptions and distractions, poor planning, not able to plan well, perfectionism, expecting too much, too perfectness, Trying to do everything yourself, and that's where we falter because we are not able to identify where to delegate the task or where not to delegate the task. Taking on too many responsibilities, taking on too much on yourself, which is not a great thing to do. Crisis management, yes, too much of socializing. We tend to socialize too much during our day, try to do too many things, meet too many people, spend too much time with our friends and family, which might not really help you solve the problem of time management. Not valuing your own time. If you don't value your time, nobody else will value your time. And lack of skills. Well, these are certain areas or certain problems which will creep up, which are your time wasters and time robbers. Once we know how to deal with all of these things, we are one step closer to managing our time better. Well, I would like to only conclude by saying that time is equal to money. Time spent or time lost will never come back again. Learn how to prioritize, learn how to schedule your priorities, learn how to manage your time better if you want to be a world-class leader, if you want to be successful in your life. Manage your time well. Well, I hope you have enjoyed listening to our video tutorial on time management, and I hope you will practice all that you have learned here. Thank you very much for listening to us. Bye-bye.